B-boy. From the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East coast to the west, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed. Still a B-boy. From the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East coast to the west, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed.
I first met this man almost 20 years ago after he's making major noise on the underground Wisconsin hip hop scene. While we were repping Milwaukee, his crew came from just down the road in Racine. I knew right away when I met him he was the real deal, and his crew and label, Afterlife Records, always put out nothing but quality music. We started working together in the studio, doing live shows. One of the best to come out of the Badger State, Ryme C.
Hey, what's going on, MCAK?
All right, I start everyone the same, and that's, do you remember your earliest memory of hearing hip hop?
Oh, yes. My earliest memory of hip hop, I actually started out as a DJ. But I went to go see the movie Breaking.
Ah, yes.
That was my first exposure to hip hop. So everything from Breaking, LL Cool J when he did his interview with the radio, I got my radio.
Yeah.
Man, that started my love for hip hop.
So you start falling in love with hip hop. Do you know the first album that you felt you had to have, whether it was saving your money, the one album at first that you needed to go out and cop?
Oh, yes. Ice Cube, America's Most Wanted. Absolutely.
Classic.
Yes, had to have that.
Yeah, that was a classic, no doubt.
And I saved up money from my newspaper route so that I could get that, definitely.
Yeah, I had that tape too, so.
Yeah.
So who was the first rapper, who was your first favorite rapper?
Ooh. Oh, that's gonna be hard to say. I used to think it was Big Daddy Kane, but I'm gonna say it's LL Cool J. That's why I got the mic tatted on my arm, because I was dedicated to hip hop. LL had the tattoo.
Right.
I think we actually got one around the same time, but I'll say he had it first.
I was just gonna say, are you saying that LL bit your style?
No, the goat had it first.
So at what point do you decide maybe I should try this hip hop thing and start writing rhymes and rapping?
Well, like I said, I started out as a DJ. I was 12 years old, doing house parties and things. My cousins had me come by, do a couple of shows for them. My sister would put on a house party. Then eventually we graduated to the community centers. So we were going from community center to community center, putting on hip hop shows, giving the kids something to do. And after, wow, I want to say probably 2 years. So right around 14, that's when I said, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Because see, back in the day, it was all about the DJ.
Right.
The DJ had to keep the crowd going. The MC was there to support the DJ.
Mm-hmm.
But flip, flop, MC now, no DJ.
Right. It's sad nobody's got a DJ anymore.
No, it doesn't. It's sad.
It is. Back in the day, all your favorite rappers, you knew their DJ.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, man. Jam Master Jay. Shoot. What other DJs you remember?
Well, Evil E was Ice-T's.
Yes. Yes. We talked about that.
Cut Creator was
Yes.
LL. Speaking of LL, I mean, everyone had one. You know, speaking of LL, you know, my first favorite MC, and he's still my favorite MC, is Ice-T. And when they were beefing in the late 80s, I completely stopped. I would not listen to LL. I was banning his ass. I was such an Ice-T fan.
I didn't ban him, but I bumped them both equally.
Yeah, I was hardcore. I was hardcore with it. I took my side and I stayed with it.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing.
So do you remember one of the first rhymes you wrote? One of the first? It might be hard to remember the first.
I would sit in school during study hall and I would just write a rhyme every single day. So by the end of the school year, I had like 3 notebooks full of rhymes. And this went on from 6th grade through high school, through graduation. And I just kept writing daily, at least 1, 2 songs, not just verses, actual full songs. But I think my first one though, it was a love song to my girlfriend. And the gentleman that I recorded it with took me down to Milwaukee. He said, hey, we're going to set you up in the studio. We're going to go ahead and let you record 2 songs. This is how much it costs an hour. So we can go ahead and get you going. And I ripped the song. I mean, I absolutely loved it. That's one of my favorite songs. And I think my girlfriend liked it too, because she became my wife.
Oh, damn. That's a great story. That's crazy.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's some movie stuff right there.
Hey, I tried.
So you were listening to LL, you know, you're getting a love song, getting the ladies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe I should have listened to LL. I'd had more girlfriends back in high school.
Nothing wrong with that, though, bro. Definitely.
So at what point, I know you talked about recording that song, but did you get serious about it? You know, recording, I want to try to put out, you know, songs, eventually get to an album. At what point in your life are we at that?
I knew I wanted to drop an album back in 7th grade. I just didn't have the financial.
Right.
So I worked, I pushed. 93 was the release of my very first CD. And we got it to V100. DJ Wolf D put it on, played it. I gave my contact information out. And lo and behold, 2 days later, I got a cassette from you.
Oh, damn.
You mailed me a cassette. Yes.
My first 3 albums were on cassette because it was cheaper.
It was.
It was.
Much cheaper.
The press, yeah.
Yeah. You mailed me your cassette, and I was like, yeah, this guy's got talent. I got to work with him.
Yeah, and I want to get to us working, but before I get deep, I really, for those that don't know the geography of Wisconsin, so you're from Racine, and for those that don't know, it's between Milwaukee and Chicago. Just shortly explain, you know, what kind of identity does Racine have? Is it just like a Southern Milwaukee? Is it like a Northern Chicago? Or is it unique in its own way?
Racine is definitely unique in its own way. At one point, they wanted to call it Little Chicago, but that's not it. Nothing wrong with Chicago,
right?
But Racine has got its own niche. We got a special group of people.
And the first time I believe we worked together would have been in 2001 or 2. I know you're on Kane's album, I believe. I remember inviting you guys up for a posse track.
Yes.
And I had these notorious posse tracks with like 25 people in the studio, which our engineer hated. Do you remember that first time coming up when we started working together?
Truthfully, I do remember the first time that we went up there. Mike, I believe, was the engineer that day.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Not Jesse.
So. And so we went in. I brought the Afterlife family. We met the 101st Airborne family. And man, I think we spent about, what was it, 6 hours you booked in the studio, and we were just nailing tracks.
Right. Yeah, we always did marathon sessions. I lived in that studio for years. Yeah, it was my second home. One thing I always appreciated and liked, and I'm being completely honest, I'm not just because I'm interviewing you. I love that everyone you ever brought, if I invited you up and you brought people from Afterlife, I can't remember a time that you brought someone who wasn't talented. I was always impressed, whether it was Iceberg or Renaissance, you know, all them guys. Finesse was really talented. I always appreciated that you came with talent. We always could count on you. We always knew it would be dope. You came on time. You're a professional. I mean, in this industry, that means a lot. And I'm sure you've dealt with many people you can't count on. And it's tough to find people that you can count on. But you always came with talent. I was always thankful and mad impressed. And that's why I continued to work with you guys, whether it was shows or in the studio.
Appreciate it, though. Definitely. Thank you.
I was trying to remember when I first heard you, and I don't remember the exact moment, but I do remember always thinking you have the perfect voice for a hardcore rapper. You just sound like you would come out of the stereo, and if it messed with you, you'd smack me up. And then you're the nicest guy in the world. I don't want to kill your image, but the second thing I always thought of, and I revisited your catalog again to see if my favorite album by you is still my favorite, and it is, and I'll get into that. But I always thought you were such a good storyteller. I think on every album you had a handful of tracks that were stories, like you're reading a book. And I always appreciated, was that a conscious effort? Did you like the storytelling element?
That came from Slick Rick, the art of storytelling.
Nice.
The art of storytelling. When we grew up listening to hip hop, it wasn't just words. Everything had a meaning behind it.
Right.
And that's what I tried to do with maybe not all of my songs, but a good majority of them have some kind of meaning, some substance behind it. So
yeah, I always appreciated your talent for telling stories on the mic, because there's a lot of, if I'm being honest, maybe 60 to 80% of the rappers can't really tell a good story. It's just rhyming words or, killing people or messing with hoes. And that's all well and good, but to be able to tell a story and draw the listener in, that's always been my favorite kind of hip hop.
yes.
So revisiting your catalog, before I listened to it, I said to myself, I know for a fact that Last Man Standing is my favorite album by you, hands down. I don't even got to listen to them, right? So I revisited your catalog, and then I was kind of on the fence. And there's a song on a different album called Game Time 2, where you sample the Mario Brothers beat.
Yes.
That is done so perfectly. The jumps and the mushroom noises are completely on point with the beat. Do you remember? I just love that song.
That's one of my favorites.
I mean, people need to go out there, go on his YouTube channel, check it out. It's so dope.
Thank you.
But like I said, Last Man Standing is my favorite. What is the favorite project you ever put out?
Wow. Well, let's see. That's going to be a chunk, because I think I've got 9 CDs that were released worldwide. And then there was some underground work that I did. I'm going to say my favorite, though, was probably Black Mask, Black 9 with Lyrical. The way that album came together, he called me up and he said, hey, I want to do this, the CD. I said, oh, okay, we'll talk about it, because we had a show that night. We'll talk about it.
Sure.
So I catch up with him that night, and he said, hey, Black Mask, Black 9. Okay. Black Mask, Black 9. Okay, what are you trying to say? That's what we should call the album. Black Mask, Black 9. I said, okay, that's dope. That's dope. Okay, tell me what we're talking about. So he gave me a rundown, and this was a Thursday night. We were doing a show in South Milwaukee, and Thursday night he pitches me this idea, tells me what he wants the album to be about. Friday, I stayed up all night, entire night, writing songs. Saturday, we hit the studio. It took us 3 hours to knock out 9 tracks, and that was the both of us going back and forth. I listened to it actually the other day, and Lyrical brought an energy out of me that not all my artists could have done. He's very talented, well-rounded, speaks his mind, great to have at a party. I think you can attest to that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you got to tell them, hey, Cal, put the chairs down. But the guy is talented. I think I've seen him write a song maybe 3-4 times, and I've been working with Cal since he was 15.
Mhm.
And probably 3-4 times I actually saw him write a song. Everything else was freestyle. The guy is a genius.
I brought this up in my interview with Surreal from Noise Wave. The art of freestyling, how it's so much more difficult than the average person. I mean, I could sit here and freestyle things that rhyme, but to be good and talented at it, that's another thing. Like I said, with storytelling, even harder to find a true freestyler. And that's why when you know you got someone good.
Right. Absolutely.
Since you brought up, working with him,
Mhm.
your main crew, you've had a lot of people in your crew throughout the years. I've been knowing you well over 20 years. And I don't, not to pick people out, but who are you mentioned Lyrical, who are some of your favorites from your camp that you ever worked with? But you ain't hating on the ones you don't name.
No,
Put that out there.
Everybody had their own thing. Kane was murderous. Finesse had a Life Jennings style.
Such a smooth flow.
Yes, yes. Let's see. Renaissance, his understanding of music was just so well versed. He made me a CD full of beats that we always said, oh yeah, we're gonna get to these, we're gonna get to... The guy was really, really talented. So he was the mind guy. He's like, nah, I think we should put the song here, we should put this song here. Nah, tell me a joke. Okay, now back to work. This here, tell me a joke. So Renaissance was cool that way. My brother, Aisha Bird, man, love to do it. I can't say enough about him. He's my brother, but he has a Jay-Z style flow. And at first, I wasn't really too digging it. I'm a Tupac fan. Tupac and Jay-Z had a beef. Yeah. So when my brother started rapping, Jay-Z and Tupac was beefing. So I didn't really care for his style at first, but he came around. So talented. Beat making, lyrics. But back to the question you asked me. I've worked with Cal the longest, but I'm gonna say the most interesting artist that I worked with was Gutter from Young Money. We did a track with Mims, and just talent all the way across the board.
A similar question, but this time we're going to go outside your camp. On all the people outside of your camp that you worked with, who are some of your, handful of people that you enjoyed recording with or doing shows with the most? And I'm not fishing for an answer of me.
But that's going to be the answer. Because every time we got together, man, we had a great time.
Definitely.
So I have to say 101st, first and foremost. I did a lot of work with Mr. Frizzo from Racine. He has the power to draw in the crowd, and we had the power to keep the crowd. So it worked like magic. It was a beautiful relationship.
Right.
Let's see. And you would think that some of the big name artists that I opened for, Ludacris, DMX, Eminem, you would think that one of them would have been great to work with, but I never really got to work with them like that. So, you're in one door, they're in the other door.
Yeah, I've been there.
5 of them, but you still miss them.
speaking of shows, since you brought it up, do you have one or two either funny or memorable show memories? I mean, just like me, I know you've done hundreds and hundreds of shows, and a lot of them meld together. At least they do for me. But is there anything that really sticks out?
So we were performing with 101st Airborne in Madison. Lyrical had a little too much to drink.
That happens.
But he was really into the mix of everything, the vibe. He had the crowd going.
Mhm.
And then he grabs a chair, the bar stool. I don't know if you remember it or not.
I do.
But he grabbed the bar stool. I'm like, Cal, you got to put that down. You got to put the chair down. And then, he put it down. He walk away, and then he'd get back into it, and he'd go pick the chair up again. Cal, come on, we don't get arrested in Madison. We are going to jail in Madison, Wisconsin.
You also mentioned people, big names that you got to open for, and I've had similar experiences, people we opened for, although some have been very humble and engaged with me. There's others who either you don't even run into or they ignore you, and I kind of get it from their side. But who are some of the favorites of the national artists that you got to open for? The experience, not necessarily the artist himself and his music.
Right. I'm gonna say Ludacris at the Rave in Milwaukee.
Nice.
I didn't get to meet him, although I got close. I didn't get to meet him, but the professionalism of his entire staff set a standard, gold tier standard that I had never seen before. We performed, we did our show. Hour and a half later, Ludacris comes out, he rocks the house. The whole crowd is going wild. And instead of him packing up and leaving right away, he took the time to actually stop and speak to some of the fans and sign autographs, take pictures. And that was humbling to me, very humbling, because that told me you didn't forget where you came from. You're in this because you love hip hop. You're not in this because of the money.
In 2006, I didn't write down the date, but I'm gonna rely on my head, which could be off by a year or two. You and I collaborated on a compilation called Masters of the Universe.
Yes.
I went back through that again, and I was reminded about what a great compilation that is. It's really, I was really impressed how well it aged, being, over 15 years ago or 15-ish. Do you have any memories about working on that? That whole process?
Yeah, and that was one of the first times we came to the studio with you guys.
Okay.
One of the first.
Right.
And we wanted to make sure that we got the tracks right. Everything, you went out of your way, man. You worked magic to get this project put together. In all honesty, I was dealing with a distribution company that at that time had told me, well, no, you can't have various artists like that on a CD. You just got to list an artist or per track. It can't be a catalog that way. And so it came out as if it was a second CD for me. And it wasn't meant to be that. It was definitely your brainchild, and it came together beautifully.
Yeah, I was really impressed looking back on it. That was the first time that I had worked with Chino XL. He did a whole song for the compilation. Ahmad, who people might remember, had the hit back in the day when I was young. I'm not a kid anymore. Yeah. We got him on it. Your crew brought it. I was happy how the 101st songs aged. I just looking back at that, I was like, this ages really well. There's times I look back at my catalog and there's certain projects that I feel don't age so well, or sometimes you're not as focused and you don't realize it at the time. But that was a really good compilation, and people should peep that out. I'm pushing my albums 15 years later.
Yes, yes. You gotta keep doing it.
I asked you about your favorite album.
Mhm.
I've never asked anyone this. What's your least favorite album of yours? Do you look back at one and be like, oh shit?
Yeah. I have one. It's Rhyme C or Aquinas Price presents the Trials and Tribulations of Rhyme C.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So I say that's my least favorite because I started out as a solo, well, as a DJ, then a solo artist. But I always had other artists around me. When I recorded that one, it was more of a, hey, I got to get this out alone. It's got to be a me thing.
Right.
And I look back at it, and I wish I would have featured a couple more artists on that one, but it was almost a closure point for me, getting close to the end of my hip hop career.
Now I'm going to get to the hip hop questions.
All right.
If you were forced to just listen to one MC's catalog for the rest of your life, who are you picking? Is it LL?
I'm gonna lean towards Tupac. I can listen to him all day long.
Right.
All day long.
Yes. So since you brought up Tupac,
yeah.
What's your favorite Tupac album?
Ooh. All of them. All of them. All Eyes on Me. When you first put the CD, I got it the day it came out. Right. First put the CD in, All Eyes on Me comes on, and it just hits you. It nails you. Fresh out of prison, this guy just drops a double album that turns platinum. Mm-hmm. And that very first song, when it comes on, it just hits you. That's it. It's got you hooked.
So similar question, you're going to that island that's behind you, and you can only bring 5 albums with you. What are them 5 albums you're bringing?
Ooh, 5 albums. I'm gonna go with Ice-T's Power.
Nice.
All Eyes on Me, because I can get a double
yeah,
disc.
Thinking.
Word of Mouth, Ludacris. Adrenaline Rush, Twister.
Oh,
man, Bigger and Deffer. It's got to be the LL.
Nice.
Got it.
All right, now I'm going to list MCs, and when I say their name, you need to tell me what's the first thing you think of when you hear their name.
All right. Yeah.
DMX.
DMX, the dog, bite.
He was the one guy who could make barking on a rap record sound hardcore.
Man, it sounded cool, didn't it?
On paper, that sounds like a terrible idea. Like, all right, man, I'm gonna bark and howl on this track.
Right. You know, a funny story. Puffy wanted to sign him, but he said, "I can't sign you. You're not gonna sell. You're just barking on the record." And look at him. 5 albums platinum, all release dates. So.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of people who left too soon, there's another one. House of Pain.
House of Pain. Jump. Everybody. Yeah. I like the House of Pain.
Das Effects.
Ooh, Das Effects. We want effects.
Classic song.
Yes.
Iceberg.
My little brother, Jackpot.
Tag Team.
Actually, it's a commercial.
Right.
The cookie dough commercial.
Ice cream.
That's the first thing that I think of.
3-6 Mafia.
Ooh, 3-6 Mafia. Wow. Oh man. first thing that I think of when I think of 3-6 Mafia is my cousin Slick. Um, Slick used to bump 3-6 Mafia all the time. You couldn't go to his house and he didn't have it on. You couldn't get in his car and he didn't have it on. Bro, don't you got something else you can listen to?
MC8.
MC8. Ooh, DJ Quick. And
What
I
a
think it's because of the battles they had.
right.
Man.
Do you think MC8 and the DJ Quick battle is a top 3 beef of all time in hip hop?
Nah, but I put it in my top 10.
Renaissance.
Renaissance is my homeboy. Renaissance was the second artist that I worked with, but he was the first one that was signed to Afterlife. So the first track that we did was called Out of the Blue. And in the beginning of the song, I say, my brother is actually on the song. He says, so Dr. Price, what are you waiting on? And I said, you know, my protege. And Renaissance didn't like that. I thought it was cool, but he surpassed the master by all means. And that's the goal. If I can't uplift somebody else, I don't need to be in the game.
I want to sidetrack because I didn't ask you this, but now I wish I would have had it in my notes. So when did you officially form Afterlife Records, and how did you come up with the name? How did you come up with the idea? How did that all form and come together?
Right. So Afterlife Records is the birth child of Gin and Juice Records. When I first started out, me and my cousin Nick, we essentially started Gin and Juice Records. We had a falling out, and I went on to do Afterlife Records. I was trying to come up with a name, a concept, and I had actually gotten a flyer in the mail, and I believe it was a Steven Spielberg sign that looked like it was on fire, and it said Afterlife, and it was supposedly from a Star Wars or something. But I looked at that and I said, you know, I like that. Afterlife Records. Okay, well, what does it mean? It means after life, you should be able to leave some kind of legacy. So I'm recording now so that when I die in the afterlife, my voice still can be heard by my children, by my family, my friends, my loved ones. I'm out the door, but you can always listen to me because I'm here for it. Afterlife.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that origin story. I love great origin stories. You know, those moments that are, you know, turn the page moments or light bulb moments. You know, so many people just you know, just I'll call it Big Baller Shot Caller Records, or, you know, something that
Anything.
Right. So that's a great, you know, with your music, you'll always exist. You know, I made a song called I'll Always Exist with that same thought, you know, that same thought.
I remember.
Yeah. So moving back, 8 Ball and MJG.
Ooh, Southern boys. I think of Puff Daddy when I think of them. And the reason why is because they were signed to Puffy's Bad Boy South.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And that's when I first really got into them. I know they had been around for a long time, but the infusion with what Puffy had at that time just was magical. Kind of same thing he did with Young Jeezy.
Right.
And man, that really brought about Southern rap, because at that time it was all East Coast, West Coast. And nobody was paying any attention to what we were doing in the North, what they were doing in the South. And that I think is what really caught their attention. It's kind of like New York. They don't really like country. Well, no, let me take that back. Let me walk it back. New York doesn't is not a country station type city. Right. So the fact that they finally got a country station speaks volumes.
Right.
It's crossover. It's crossover. So why can't we have the same?
Like crossover. So. Public Enemy.
Ooh, Public Enemy. Favorite Flav. Favorite Flav. Man, I gotta say I rocked the wall clock.
Did you for real?
Yes, I did.
Oh shit! I wish I could see a picture of that with the clock.
No, I hope it doesn't exist. But yeah, Flav, he was the hype man that made you want to listen to what it was Chuck was saying. Chuck was the brains, but Flavor Flav was the entertainer. Absolutely.
You know, that's another thing on paper shouldn't work. Shouldn't work. A Chuck named Flavor Flav shouldn't work.
Shouldn't work. Nope. But it did.
It's perfect, right? He's the hype man of all hype men.
Yes.
And to make you feel a little bit better about rocking the clock, like Flavor Flav, sometime in the late 80s, I got Ice-T shaved in the back of my head. So
come on.
Yeah, that was some corny shit. Yeah. I was a hardcore fan. I was like, can you put iced tea? And I think the guy was almost put iced tea. Because there's some old guy who didn't know what the hell iced tea was.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Common,
Chicago. Common is Chicago. He's Midwest. He was one of the first to step out here for us. And he was hip hop, is hip hop. And always will be.
He recently did this like 3 or 4 minute long freestyle just like a couple weeks ago. And I mean, he's still got it. Mad lyrical and mad. He's hip hop personified.
Yes, absolutely.
Since I know you're a wrestling fan, John Cena as a rapper.
Oh, John Cena as a rapper. When I first heard of John Cena, he had accepted the open challenge from Kurt Angle. And shortly they rebranded him. He comes down, hip hop John Cena. I'm like, man, this guy is a joke. I mean, it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he rocked that gimmick. And the CD that he did release was not actually bad at all. It was very impressive for a wrestler at that time, for just about anybody. So hip hop, John Cena.
I'm glad you brought that up because that is an album that is better than it should be. I know he's got songs with Freddie Fox on there, and it's actually a pretty good album.
It is.
So if John Cena is not a famous wrestler, but someone gives him an actual record contract with the same distribution, how well does that album do?
That album does.
It tanks. It still does all right, I think.
Yeah, I think he does good. Because he was, I don't want to say a rebranded Marky Mark, but not a wrestler, but I'm still sure he worked out. The guy is very impressive.
Right.
So I got to say he would be another Marky Mark kind of, and he'd fall in that category.
Right.
If he wasn't a wrestler.
Method Man.
Okay. Sam's Club. That's where I think. So my buddy AJ tells me, hey, I got tickets to the Wu-Tang Clan concert. You want to go? I can't. I got to work. We both worked at Sam's Club. So He says, okay, well, I'll see if I can find somebody else to go. All right, cool. So I get a phone call, and the supervisor calls me over and says, hey, you got to go home. Your wife called. There's an issue. Okay. So I pack up. I get ready to go home. I get out to the parking lot. He's sitting in the car. Hey, I got you out of the Wu-Tang. I got you out of work for the Wu-Tang concert. So we went up there. We watched Method Man rock. Method Man rocked the house. Wu-Tang Clan has always been a great group, but Method Man has always been the outstander of that group to me.
Right. Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
A couple more.
All right.
Tribe Called Quest.
Tribe Called Quest. Ooh, that screams 90s. Because that's when I first got into Tribe Called Quest. I'm gonna just say 90s for them. I liked them, but at that time, I was transitioning into a different kind of artist.
Right, right. C Murder.
Ooh, C Murder. Down for my niggas. I gotta say that's it. Down for my ends. C Murder. I didn't feel he was quite as talented as Master P, but that one song, it's still a classic to this day. It's on my playlist for Spotify. I bump it all the time.
So I agree that his brothers, even Silk, I felt were better rappers, but he did have a presence to him that the other two didn't have. And lastly, I got down Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes. Who? Busta Rhymes is another person that it took me a little while to warm up to, but you had to understand his style. He wasn't the average rapper. He was outgoing, outlandish. He was loud. He was in your face. And the way that he mapped his lyrics together, it wasn't this sentence is going to rhyme with the next sentence, but it might rhyme 3-4 words down, 3-4 sentences down. But the guy, I would love to see him and LL battle, just a friendly battle,
right?
A friendly hip hop. But Busta Rhymes, he's going to be one of my, probably in my top 10, definitely.
Yeah.
So I just wish he would have done a little more work with Dr. Dre.
Right. Yeah, because he did that one album on Aftermath. Was that the Big Bang album? I believe. All right, so that's what I got. Is there anything? Are we ever going to get a new Rhyme C album, or are you done, finished? Speaking of wrestlers, are you going to come back after you retire?
Well, I officially retired 2012. My son is getting to the age of where he's getting into music. He's playing saxophone.
Nice.
Got a guitar, keyboard. So he's coming along. I think I'm going to pass the torch to him, but there will be one last Rhyme C album. My first official release was the Alpha. I'm ending it with the Omega.
Perfect.
Rod P is producing the whole entire album. It's 12 tracks. The favorite so far out of what we've been working on is a song called Death Row. And It's actually a song by Chris Stapleton, Death Row. That it was something about that song that I loved it so much. I said, oh, I got to figure out how to play this. I got to figure out how to play this. Took it to Rod. I got this. Come back and I got this. Come back half hour. I got this. Go get some sodas, chill out.
Right.
I got it. I come back. He's got it chopped up. He's got it screwed. I'm excited for that one. That will be a single. We're hoping to drop it the week between Christmas and New Year's. And then the full album will be tentatively around April. I may push it off to September because that's when all the other ones came out. But you'll get at least 2 singles off of this.
So all your albums were released in September?
Just about. That's the time that I got into the distributor.
Right.
Because we were local artists. The distributor wasn't so fast and get things moving.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So we drop a couple records and, they sit on the shelf for a month.
So you have any pluggables to plug? Where can people get at you? Anything you want to point them towards?
Yeah. Actually, I'm doing gaming, online gaming.
Okay.
So I'm streaming at QPOC the One on YouTube, Twitch, and my son also is streaming, and he's Little QPOC on YouTube. He's got about 800 followers. He had over 10,000 followers on Twitch until his account got hacked. So he doesn't want to start over with them. But we both stream live. I'm going to have a challenge coming up November 1st. I'm going to try and do 30 days, 30 different games.
Oh, that's dope.
YouTube. So
that's cool. I'm going to peep that out. What games are you playing?
I'm going to try a little bit of everything. I've got that PS5, you know that. But I'm starting to play more PC games.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump on, I think the first one that I'm going to try is Spider-Man. So that one's a PS5 game.
Right.
I'll jump on that. My son wants the first one to be Fortnite, but I'm just not that good at Fortnite. I'm going to be honest, but it might be something funny to watch.
Right?
Yeah.
So is he a better gamer than you? Has he surpassed you?
I think so. I hope he doesn't hear this. But yeah, I think so. I started gaming with Atari.
Right.
PS5 now. I kid you not, AK. I own probably 6,000 video games over all the consoles.
Damn.
Just a video game junkie. And my son beat his first game, Injustice, at 3 years old. So yeah.
It's in the DNA.
Yes, it is.
Well, if he keeps beating you, just break out, Mario or something, and then you can get him back.
Right. So, I got him playing Popeye the other day. He said, Dad, this is
Dad, I remember that game. Yeah. I think all the time, I wish I would have never got rid of all my old systems because, I had all of them from the 80s and 90s, and most of them are gone. But it'd be dope to have my old Nintendo. At least my Nintendo. I still think I could beat most people at Super Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah, if you blow in the cartridge.
Right. Also want to, people check out your music on your YouTube page. You got a handful of your albums up there, and
YouTube, Spotify, Apple, any place you can get music, you can find me just about.
All right. I appreciate your time. Appreciate everything. I appreciate all the years working together. Like I said before, you guys, I always could count on you guys, and you guys are always professional and most importantly, talented. And I can't say that about everyone I worked with. So it meant a lot to me. I always loved, working with you guys.
Thank you.
Keep holding Wisconsin down. And unless you got something else to say, I'll give you the platform. Otherwise, we can be out.
Check us out. Like AK said, he gave you all the stuff, the Spotify, YouTube. Come find us. Come find us on the gaming YouTube channels. And look out for that album. Once again, the single is going to be called Death Row. The album is going to be called The Omega.
Nice. All right. I'll definitely be peeping it out. So.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Hold it down. All right.
All right.
Peace.
With fire burning in my soul, 5 a.m. I don't know why, but now I'm speaking Espanol. Maybe it's another language, I don't know, but I do know this. Feel his hand up on my shoulder, now I feel eternal bliss. Not for hire, still a soldier, about to take his cast to war. Pick up my Bible, leave my clock, I'm about to shake the ocean floor. Guided by the voice of God, yes, the spirit lives in me. Gotta break bread like Moses said, time to set my people free. A war for souls we fighting daily, man. I had to pay my dues, but I fight for God if I should fall. Still I know I will not lose. Send me to the hood, Father, let me go and bring them back. My armor's on, my skin is thick, face so stronger doesn't crack. I'll take you there, dry your eyes and let it be. Renew your mind, flush your spirit, root your family tree. The past is gone, you can't turn back. Time to jump up off the wheel. Go to God with open arms, and He will make your heartache heal. There's no other path to take. Ain't no joke, the real deal. Demons fighting for your soul, cutting your Achilles heel. When you get hurt, direct your anger, God can make you fail. Lord is on your side, homie, tell me why you can't prevail. The road is rough, but tuck it up. Life is never easy, man. Slow your roll, let it go. God has the master plan. If I search gentle, ain't no question where my loyalty resides. I move for God when He says go. Look at how I shook and jive. You can't take mine, I know the Lord has got my back. Standing on the front line like where your soldiers, where they at, I'm riding with the mighty Lord. Build my house on solid ground, stand tall like who gon' stop me, can't nobody move me now. Came to share His word with you, Illuminati, not the truth. 2012 is here right now, you wonder what the Mayans knew. Revelations all around, yet you haven't picked a side. He cried for me, He died for me, so for the Lord I surely ride.
Man, these niggas at it again. This is the last time I'm gonna spit some shit about your punk ass, man. I ain't gonna even speak your name this time. I ain't gonna give you props, you little faggot ass fucker. That's why you got bust in the head with a damn hammer by a hype talking about you run the streets, nigga. You don't run no motherfucking streets. Step your game up if you wanna fuck with real players. Chill. Yeah, game time, nigga. Game time. Okay, get your game right. Let's get it right, flip side tonight. You done entered my realm, now it's time I take your life, dog. I gave you a pass once, you spit in my face. I'm through with being nice, your ass whoopings to death. You talk shit behind my back, but you faking, you know it. You's a bitch, you a hoe, and I'm about to expose it. Niggas don't know about the drama I hold, so what you know about holding a body until it's cold? What you know about taking hot shells to the body? What you know about the way these afterlife niggas party? Man, I'll never go broke if I retire now. next year. See me off in California with a 40 a beer. Or you can catch me in the clubs in Orlando, Florida. Smoking dro by the pound, man, this shit will floor you. I done told you faggots once, keep my name off your tongue. You keep reaching for my dick, cause you heard that I'm hung. I got the heart of a lion, homie, no fear in my eyes. The only man I fear is God, and I'ma meet him when I die. I ain't trying to go early, you can check my flow. But when the man says my time is up, I gotta go. Yeah, you say I'm old school, and you goddamn right. I've been rapping since Cube was wiping juice off his mic. I was taking cats out the game at age 12. They called me Little DMC cause I was raised in hell. What you know about getting that money, dog, in the rain? Wanna know about death? Just speak the name of Kane. You can make your little CD, sell them out of your trunk. I'm in the studio with Lil Jon and we getting crunk. See, you sold a little dope, now you think you can rhyme. You better call Steve Harvey, this nigga is big time. Whatever, nigga, you can spit about your Mitchell and Ness. Fuck with the mob, you're gonna need more than a vest. I ain't gonna even speak your name, you ain't worth my time. Oh fuck it, you ain't even worth me finishing the rhyme.